This channel is dedicated to the craft of comic strips, but I do stray from the path occasionally, and not always in a bad way. A little scenic detour is one of life's greatest pleasures, and when that pleasure comes from others' own creative efforts, well, who can resist to take a minute or two to talk about it? Today's detour regards video games. Video games have been, since their inception, an amazing creative feat. In the early years, video game pioneers acted both as programmers and artists, making music, graphics, and gameplay under what we see today as severe limitations. Today, the visuals of some video games outstrip even major blockbusters, and the worlds contained in these digital domains rival any screenplay's script. But have video games lost their way and become another Hollywood, pumping out derivative, soulless, and divisive works with little love for the core craft? I would argue that, at least among the major companies, it has. The aim of these companies is to make money, which is not a bad thing in and of itself. But if that overshadows the love one has in making art, what good is any profit? More and more companies are abandoning their ethos for the almighty dollar. Outside of the issues of intent and operation, the effect is also concerning. Even Nintendo, which has historically maintained a tighter grip on the products published on their system, preferring to be seen as a family-friendly alternative to their adult-oriented counterparts, has slipped in recent years. The amount of questionable content published on the Switch system shows this, content accessible to children unless parents take proactive steps to prevent it. While Nintendo maintains itself as the company for making multiplayer games, it has strayed into the fields of online play, rather than the exclusive couch co-op of yesteryear. So what is a fellow to do if that fellow wants couch co-op, family-friendly games made by people wanting to return to the simpler days of gaming? Well, an historic video game company aims to make a comeback, and to bring with it an old love of new gaming. Enter the Intellivision Amico. The Intellivision Amico is an independent video game console which began development in 2017 under the leadership of Tommy Tallarico, and is aimed at combining all the best aspects of classic gaming with more modern means. The company asks prospective buyers, quote, "Isn't it true that your fondest memories of playing video games are when you played together in the same room with a group of people? Much has changed in gaming since Intellivision began, with games becoming more isolating, complicated, and competitive. Using technology, creativity, and unrivaled passion, our team is on a mission to bring family and friends together again." The company has been clear that it does not aim to compete with the industry giants Nintendo, Microsoft, or Sony, but rather to fill a niche which the other companies have neglected. Video games arguably became the most accessible at any time in history through the Nintendo Wii, a console whose simple controls appeal to children, adults, and the elderly. I am constantly surprised when going to people's homes to see that they have a Wii set up. The same core aims the Wii set and achieved are arguably the same for the Amico. Have simple, accessible controls, family-friendly games exclusively, and let the love of craft and people using it shine through. The Intellivision Amico uses wireless remote controllers. The controllers have motion sensors, a simple multi-directional disc in the place of a joystick, and a touch screen, similar to a smartphone. Notably, any smartphone is able to download the Intellivision app and to be used as a controller, so one needn't worry about running out of controllers if he has more friends than expected showing up to his house. The games themselves are all rated for family play, so that a father or mother can feel completely comfortable leaving their child alone with the system, though the multiplayer emphasis would mean this probably rarely would happen. Every Amico game has a multiplayer option. From Moon Patrol to Finnegan Fox, the game developers have worked out some way to allow other players to hop in and share the fun. At its heart, the Amico wants to bring people back together, rather than driving them all to different devices. Video games shouldn't isolate people, but rather should be an extension of the party game night, where people are interacting with each other as much as they are the system itself. In this way, the system merely facilitates a shared experience and the resulting fun typified in traditional board games. Arguably, the Intellivision brings the closest board game experience to video games possible due to its unique and exclusive goal of multiplayer family-friendly gaming. The games themselves blend the old and new in a really creative way. Games can be purchased digitally, but Intellivision has also produced hard copies of the games. While these hard copies don't contain all the game data, they use RFID cards to allow a player to scan and then automatically download the game from the internet. Being an RFID card, the player can actually sell or transfer the game to another person, and the game files would then be removed from the seller's system and transferred to the purchasers. The hard copies come in some beautiful retro-style boxes with some absolutely wonderful box art, in addition to lenticular cards and coin tokens. The biplanes box art is clearly the best. A little kid would love these unnecessary but enjoyable items and art, and they really add to the feel of the Amico. The lineup of games is limited but impressive in its own way. Not only do we have remakes of classics, but new indie titles for the system as well. As of today, the hard copy games are Evel Knievel, Dyna Blaster, Missile Command, Rigid Force Redux Enhanced, Moon Patrol, Finnegan Fox, Biplanes, and Brain Duel. There were also indications that a new Earthworm Jim game would be coming to the Amico, but I don't know the current status of that. The Amico has not been without struggles, however. Tommy Tallarico has stepped back from the helm due to family illnesses and other matters, and the company has been struggling to get their product out, in large part due to the rising cost and the supply chain issues which exist post-2020. But they are still in the game, no pun intended, and that is amazing. Long after another company would have folded, they are still trying to get their creation out to the people. And other folks may mock their attempts, but I have only respect for a little guy playing in a big guy's world, trying to put a product out in the market for other people to enjoy, even when that world is against them. If anything, the fact that they have faced so much difficulty and haven't yet folded just makes me want to support Intellivision more. Making dreams happen is hard work, and rather than heckle them, maybe we can step forward and give a word of encouragement. Isn't the world saturated with enough negativity as it is? As this video suggests, I am not a disinterested party, and have purchased the hard copies of the released games in anticipation of the system, which I have pre-ordered. Even if the Amico never makes it into my hands, I'm happy to have tried to make such a fun little system happen. Even if it remains just an attempt, that is still a beautiful thing.